Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen. Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam tasliman kathiran kathira. Amma ba'du. My brothers and sisters, I'm walking in Midnight Park. They have cleaned the snow on some of the main roads but not on the others. And the temperature has now dropped a bit, so the summer snow is melting, but it makes the footing extremely treacherous. And slipping and falling is not a great idea. So I'm not going there. I want to talk to you, actually in response to some questions that people ask me about friends. And this is a big thing. This is, friends are important. Friends are things that people are proud of having, and in some cases justifiably. So, who is a friend? What is a friend? What must I look for or look in? What makes a good friend a good friend? What are some qualities because of which I should reassess my friends and see whether I should continue to be friends with them or not. And I don't want to make it sound like a very selfish exercise where I'm picking and choosing for my benefit. I want to also focus here on what kind of a friend am I to others, because that's very important for us to remember. Because imagine this goes out to, frankly, I don't even know how many people in the world, because if you look at our global Google footprint, it covers every country except Greenland. Don't ask me why it doesn't cover Greenland, but because I don't know. But the point is that there are others who are going to be listening to this, not only yourself. So what are they, as a result of listening to this podcast, what are they going to be saying about you as their friend? Will they want to retain you as a friend? Will they say, well, you know what, I have a beautiful friend? Or are they going to say, oh boy, good thing I got warned. Pre-warned is pre-armed, and so time to send Mr. or Miss so-and-so to the sandbox. So think about that. Now, talking of friends, none better than the Kitab of Allah as for advice. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Al-Akhilla. Akhilla is the plural of Khalil. In the Arabic language, there are many different words to denote and to describe friendship. It's not just one word. And Al-Khalil is a friend who is the closest. You have Zamil, Rafiq, in other words. But Al-Khalil is somebody who is a dear friend to the extent that there are no secrets between the two of you. It's a friend that completely has your back. It's a friend who quite literally will, if necessary, sacrifice their lives to save yours. It's a friend whose money, assets, everything is there if you ever need it. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being poetic. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me friends like that. I had one, he passed away, and that's one of the biggest, not one, I think that is the only. Alhamdulillah, Allah has given me a beautiful life, free from tragedy. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. But this is one tragedy that I a hole in my heart that will never fill. And that is the hole that my dear, dear, dear friend Bertie Suarez left in my heart when he died. Let's see, Bismillah ta'ala, maybe I will tell you his story, why I said that. So, to me, that's a friend. That's a Khalil. A Khalil is somebody like that, who has your back. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Al-akhillau yawma idhin ba'duhum li ba'din adu illa al-muttaqin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Al-akhilla, those who were your closest friends, your absolutely dearest friends, who knew everything about you, who always claimed to love you. These friends on the day of judgment, Yawma Izin, Ba'duhum li ba'din adu, they will be enemies to one another. Please notice, Allah is not saying they will ignore each other, they will not talk to each other, they will not recognize each other, all of which would be bad enough. Imagine somebody who's so close to me, such a dear, dear friend of mine, refuses to recognize me, will not come if I call him, will not return my salam if I say salam. How painful that would be, but that still wouldn't make him my enemy. The enemy is somebody who wants to harm me, who wants to kill me, who wants to destroy me, who wants me to it's not just that he wants to have nothing to do with me, he actually wants to harm me. That's the enemy, right? You fight your enemies. Ash-shaytanu adu fattaqizuhu aduwa. Allah said shaitan is your adu, he's your enemy, so become his enemy, fight him. Here Allah is saying, Al-akhillau yawma idhin ba'duhum li ba'din adu. Same word, enemies to one another. Illa al-muttaqin, except the people of taqwa, except the people who live their lives to please Allah, who live their lives with only one criterion for decision making: does it please Allah? Anything they had to do, they applied that criterion. Does it please Allah? If it was something that pleased Allah, they did it. If it was something that did not please Allah, they didn't do it. And if it was something in between and they were not sure, then they did not do it until they clarified. Now, illa al-muttaqin. So obviously the first quality of a good friend is that the person is a person of taqwa, the person who knows Allah, recognizes Allah, a person who lives for the sake of Allah, which automatically means that this person is somebody who is following the sunnah of Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that is a pre-criterion. Let me tell you, from my experience of Bertie Suarez, who passed away, you know what hurts me the most is the fact that today when I want to make dua for his maghfirah and I cannot. So I'm not saying don't have friends who are not Muslim, but remember that if they die without Islam, they will not be with you on the day of judgment. Inshallah, if you die with Islam. So make sure that you have friends who will be with you on the day of judgment. So muttaqun, people who are people of taqwa. Number one. Number two, what Rasulullah ﷺ said about friends. He said a friend is somebody who reminds you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So somebody who reminds you by his actions, by his speech. I'm not talking about somebody who criticizes you all the time or who is on your case. No. Somebody who is on the right path and is serious enough about that, so that you are not in any doubt about this. And when you meet this person, you know that okay, this person does what is right, eats only halal, earns halal, spends halal, does not do the opposite, And so you are reminded of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you meet the person. Second thing is the person who reminds you of the akhirah. Again, same kind of person. Why is he doing what he's doing? Because he wants his akhirah to be safe, and he wants to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a time and place where Allah is pleased with him. So somebody who is a muttaqi, somebody who reminds you of Allah. And third quality that Rasulullah mentioned was that somebody who you learn something from. It can be anything. We're not talking here about learning some masala of fiqh. Learn anything. Some useful, beneficial knowledge that this person can teach you. So these are the three qualities of great friends. Number one, person who is a muttaqi and therefore reminds you of Allah and the akhirah. And the last one is that you learn something from that person. Add to that the point that I mentioned about having your back. To me, this is the single most important criterion of friendship. A friend who stabs you in the back is not a friend, it's an enemy in disguise. He's a hypocrite, he's a munafiq. Somebody who tries to steal something from you, whatever that might be. I know of people who, in the plantations, we used to have, servants, so we had cooks, and the cook was the most important person in the house. And I had some fantastic cooks. One of the things that was in our plantation world, one of the things which was a capital crime that was never forgiven was if you stole somebody else's cook. And people try to do that. They would try to bribe the cook and say, well, come and work for me, I'll pay you so much more than what you're getting here. Alhamdulillah, none of our cooks ever left. Basically had three, and three remained with us solid and faithful throughout their lives. And I like to flatter myself by saying it's not only because of the money, but because of how my wife and Allah treated her employees. Because they were her employees. Effectively she worked with them, but so they no one let. But the thing was this. So point is that if you are stealing somebody's cook, if you are bribing somebody or say come and work for me, that is the reason why in Islam Nabi said, if your brother has proposed to a lady, to a woman, do not send your proposal until that is decided, until she says yes or no to him. She says yes, of course that's it, that's signed and sealed, you have no business there. If she says no, then you can send your proposal. He said, when you know that the proposal has been sent, do not send your proposal. Similarly, he said that if you go to buy something and that person has already sold, or he has a bid which is there, he said don't go and try to tell the person. For example, if you go buy a car and you know that this person has sold the car for $10,000, but the other person hasn't collected the car yet, so the car is still with this guy. Now you don't go there and say, I will give you 11,000, give the car to me. And if the person does that, then you are both sinful in the eyes in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Islam, this is haram, that you try to undercut that. And of course, the culprit there is the owner of the car also, because once he gave his word to the other person, says, sale done, come tomorrow morning, take the car. Or the other guy says, I'll pick it up tomorrow morning. He says, okay. And then he comes in the morning, he says, no, I'm sorry, I had a better deal, so I sold it. Here's your 10,000 back. No, that is haram. Never do that. That's miserable, horrible, shows that you are a munafiq, shows that you are a hypocrite, because only a hypocrite will do something like that, to go behind somebody's back and stab them. So if you are, especially if you think that you are somebody's friend, make sure that don't fall into these traps. So final recap, friend is someone who has your back, friend is someone who defends you in your absence, absolutely critical. Friend is somebody who will support you in everything good and who will show you a mirror to your face when there is something wrong. A friend is somebody who genuinely cares for you, has concern for you. A friend is somebody who will, for whom nothing is barred if you need help. And a friend is somebody who reminds you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about the akhirah, and who you learn something from. We ask Allah to give us beautiful friends like that, and we ask Allah to make us such that we are such beautiful friends for those who are our friends. وصلى الله على نبي الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا رب العالمين.